I think there is a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of things that I really want to put a point on it, and this is based on my experience, and I will give you also some very great example, and hopefully that will be a good takeaway for you after this talk. So just a quick introduction first, who I am. So I'm the head of data now at Moneypenny. I got over 20 years experience in data. So I worked in many companies, also in consulting. I deployed a lot of data products, but also big data platforms in Hadoop back in 2012. So I also do a lot of keynote speaking when I get invited. Mostly I've done that in London, but before that I done that in Paris. And I also like to share my views. So if you have the chance to read my articles, it's not classical articles in data. I try to change the mindset and think about something else, how to change things and how to do it differently. And also, I'm also a teacher, so I'm teaching also big data and data science in some business company. So where I'm very focusing on is to create value based on data. So it is something that I'm very exciting on. Every company I went to is I really want to create very values. When I said value is concrete value. So create a new trend, new product, how to optimize the company based on the data. So it's so amazing how the data contain value, but the question mark is how we can get this data and make that work. So this is my quick introduction. I will now focus on the talk. The talk is not about data as value. I can be invited by Chris next time for doing that, but I will more focusing on data science and all the mistake I saw and all the discussion I got with my peers. So try to I did combine that in this talk to give you my understanding. Sorry about that. So first of all, data science, how fascinating is data science is. Data science is quite, is a range, a lot of different areas. However, it's so fascinating because it's not a classical IT sort of service we can offer in the business. It's quite more than that. And some people are completely sometimes misunderstand what we should do in data science. And it's also about where data science should be embedded in the organization. So the best line I found is from Gartner about that. Data science is quite across business and IT. So every time I used to share that is a data head of data or data science leader need to talk two languages, not French and English, but business and IT. And this is quite unusual. So some people in IT already challenge me on that and say, no, also in IT, like when we do an IT product, we are also need to be also aware of business. We got the requirements on the business and we build the product with them. Yeah, but in data science is more than that, because business didn't know what he didn't know. And in data is also part of the data science thing, is also data discovery. It's also about how to challenge the business. It's also about how to get at the next stage of the requirements. It's not just, I got the requirements, I will build something for you. It's also be with the business, understand where the business is, understand where we struggle, and probably give some intuitions and do some data science work to bring this value for the business. And sometimes, most of the time, when I build some data product, most of the time I didn't have any question. I build that because I understand the business, I understand where we struggle, and we try to encourage and try to build something without any requirements, because most of the time business didn't know that it's possible to do. And this is completely a different shift on an IT service, classical IT service. So the data leader is so amazing, is so fascinating, because you have to do a lot of things. And Gartner explained that very well in this slide. So we have data science specific things like what metric, what analytics I should use. Should I do feature engineering? I will talk about this a little bit later, about feature engineering. How we can do data exploration, all this creativity of communication, And this is part of the data things, but also in the business skills, we need to understanding, asking the right question. What is the good question? What is a fake question? And this is something we need to understand and how we can make it better. It's also IT skills. So we need to be also IT aware when we are doing data transformation, when we want to do something in real time, how we can use high computing servers, how we can make that happen. It's also about altogether how we can build data governance type of company. So it's so wide, it's so fascinating in terms of subject, and also over that data science, in one field of data science, it's also AI. So so AI is also a very fascinating subject, because so in AI, and this is my view on maturity level, before that, before we get on more machine learning things, I still see some companies who are doing AI product with very old-fashioned way to do it, with only coding rules, which is, I will say, the level 0 of AI. But now we get more on supervised learning. So supervised learning, I can talk more about AI, but if I speak too much on AI, I will probably burn my time. But supervised learning is a way to get labeled data and how I can predict things. Unsupervised learning is where we didn't have a labeled data, and when we try to understand the pattern in categorization. And after that, we have reinforcement learning, which is quite very new now. So reinforcement learning is, we don't have any data, we let the machine to learn by itself, by mistakes. And after that, we have the real data. And where we are now, most of the business knows how to do supervised learning. Also, deep learning is part of the supervised learning. Most of the deep learning subject is part of the supervised learning. This is where we are in the business. However, there is a lot of oncoming trend in AI where we should be aware of, and how we can use that to create more value for our businesses. And the real AI, I will not talk about this because it's not yet achievable. I don't know if it's achievable, but I have a slide at the end to talk what is the trend on AI with Jan Lecker, who is the VP researcher of AI in Facebook. I will talk about him just at the end. So data science is so fascinating, but how we can make sure that it will be good, it will be embedded in your organization. So the first big mistake I found, and that's why I talk about the right technology / organization, is when we have, I saw that in many companies, when you have the classical BI team in tech most of the time, in some organization, and the data science team is more in the business side. So most of the company think that is a right way to organize things. I'm not the one who is more comfortable on this organization, because it creates a lot of frustration. One slide I want to share with you is one survey built in 2016. I didn't find a new survey about that. Hopefully there will be a new survey soon, but it's still, I think it's still very relevant. So when we ask a data science, data scientist, what is the where he spend too much time on his work, so we can see that 60% of his time is on cleaning or organizing data. And when we ask what is the least enjoyable part of the job, is cleaning and organizing data. So what have we missed here? We missed a big understanding on how we can use the skills more efficiently. So and I think every data scientist know that the first thing to do when we get the data is to clean it and reorganize it, because most of the time we want data not as it is. We want data with a lot of features and at a raw level. So, and I saw that in my previous company, for instance in Shell Energy, that data scientists are spending too much time on it, and honestly, it just leads some attrition after that, because they didn't enjoy what they're doing. So how we make it happen and how we change the shift is to create the right technology and the right organization in the both way. So what we've done is we didn't let the data scientists doing the cleaning and doing the data organization. First of all, because they are not good at it. To be completely honest, I saw some work done in this area. It's just not the right. It's not efficient, and it's not productionized work. And the second thing is that they didn't enjoy that. We should use the skills to do more data exploration or more machine learning type of work, and create a model that will forecast the things. So what we've done is to build this kind of vision, is to have one data set, one data lake for all the purposes. So how that's possible is to use the technology what we've got now. So we got all the data. It could be external, internal data, real-time data, and building this data lake with the most modern technology. So we can go to the Redshift, we can go to the Google, we can go to Azure, choose the right data platform you want. However, it's more efficient if everyone is working in the same data lake. So after that, what we've done is that we didn't let data scientists doing the data modeling. Data modeling is part of the data engineering. Data cleaning is also part of data engineering, and that makes the work better. All people are working together. We understand that engineers understand what they are doing, understanding what the project's coming, so they can work together and create a more efficient way to also give the right task to the right person with the right skills. So the key benefits is working together around the same platform. Obviously, mixing data lake and data warehousing in the same platform, give the right skills to the right task, and it also gives better agility, be more agile on the way how to build things. So this is one of the key takeaway we build to avoid this kind of problem. It's also part of the role of the data leader to make sure that everyone is happy, everyone is doing what they want, what they want to, and create more value for the business. Hope that's clear for the first one. The second point, which is quite, I will spend a lot of time on this because it's very important, is the right mindset. So when we're talking about data science, the thing is, I saw a lot of time people working on the data and going too fast to the data. I got access to the data. I will crunch the data. I will play with it. I will say that's the wrong mindset. That's not something we should do in the first place. So I have this code which is very interesting, and I like it. We should every time start with the problem, not with the data. And this is something sometimes people miss, or some things it's so obvious. We should start with a problem, not crunching data. But because of the field of data exploration, people think that also I want to explore the data. I want to find something that people never seen. I will argue that it's good to explore the data. It's good to go and look at something that no one's seen. However, what I ask every time people who are doing that is to understand what's the big problem you want to solve? What is the key things you want to go to? Because if you don't have any kind of purpose in the first place, you will go for something probably, but at the end of the day, maybe there is no way to productionize what you've done, or there is no way to use it. So all the time you build things, it's just a waste of time. And I give you an example after this slide. The thing is, when we have this kind of mindset, it helps a lot, because that's also a good way to understand the business. It's a good way to start with a business problem I want to solve, and something that is achievable. Because sometimes you try to find a problem and try to fix something, but actually it's not actionable in a business. Maybe in other business it is, but in this business it's not. It's also to make sure that we are not spending too much time on something that is not the right purpose. So one big example I will share with you this story. So it was a seminar done in Strata Hadoop for a company. It was a big bank. I will not name them. However, it was it was a good project, technically a good project. So what they've done is they analyze all the payment on the credit card, and they try to make a distance between companies, between businesses. So not physical distance, geographical distance, but more closer distance based on what people aim to buy. Like for instance, if you're going to McDonald's and after that you're going to IKEA just after that, that means McDonald's and IKEA are very close together. It's more about the affinity of what people are doing. So they built this kind of data set with a graph database. So it was a 50-minute talk, very interesting, about distances and how to optimize that and how to build that. So they have this data set with all the businesses, and at the end of the talk, the leader, it was the head of analytics in this bank, said, we got this data set now, but we don't know what to do with it. So if you have an idea or how we can monetize this data, please come to us and speak with us. I was like, no, that's not the right thing to do. That's completely wrong. So we spent, I don't know how many money in there, how many people were working on this project, but are achieving all this work. And at the end say, oh, we got that, this is great. We don't know what to do with it now. It's just not the right thing to do. It's just a wrong mindset. It's just waste of time. It's just so just imagine your stakeholders asking what you are working on it, and after that you're working on this project, but at the end of the day there is no outcome, there is no return of investment in there. What do you think they will think about data science? Say it's just a waste of money. So people are playing with the data, and after that we don't have any outcome on that. And that's wrong for us, is wrong for our field, and this is something I will completely discourage. Honestly, if people ask me, I got all this data in my company, I don't know what to do with it, there is plenty to do. Every business I work with, honestly, there were a lot of things to do. There is a lot of good data product to build, but that needs the right mindset, and think about the business of the company, think about what we can do, think what we can achieve. But this kind of story, this is one example of this bank, but there is plenty in other businesses, and we should stop that. We should be aware of, we spend money, great, on some very interesting field, very interesting project, but start with the problem, start with what we can achieve. I didn't say we will achieve it. That's the magic of the data science. We don't know. Maybe we'll try, but we'll find nothing. I didn't say we will have an outcome, but at least I said we start with a problem that is achievable and something we can work with and build something in it. So that was my second point. The third point I want to share is something I also discovered, and something annoying is the right methodology. So there is not clear methodology on how to build a data science project. So I will focus on supervised learning now. I will focus on more machine learning things. So I don't know, every one of you, if you have seen a project in machine learning in different businesses. Me, I have the experience where there is some people working on project for 6 months, and there is no outcome in it, and there is nothing delivered really. People are playing with the data, playing with the model, trying to make the best model in the world, but it's still there, it's still ongoing, and there is nothing. So I talk with some of my peers on that, and share some ideas, etc. And all of my peers, when I discuss with that, they have also the same story, where we stuck on this kind of project. So, and this is something also we need to be conscious that no one has a great answer. This is a slide in London. It was in 2018, I think, in a conference I went to, and this is a consulting company that shared their methodology on how to build a machine learning project. And again, this methodology didn't work for me. So you need, and that's why I like is to also be very conscious that Even the consulting company who did a lot of project on that, they probably didn't give you the methodology that fit your organization. And anyway, it didn't fit my need. First of all, you see the first step, they start with the data. And after that, the third step is the question. For me, is the order run. We need to start with the question before starting with the data. And the lady, she explained that very well. She said every time, in data science, in machine learning, we are so far from the IT. So we need to get the data first. And after that, work with the question. I said, why you are far from the IT? Why you are not in the IT? Is IT so ugly to be there? Anyway, so that doesn't work for me. It didn't fit what I think. So I will share with you how what the methodology fits to me, and I will go step by step. What is the step we need to build, and after that I will explain how I fit that completely. So the first thing to do after having the right question, after understanding what you want to do, is to explore the data. Exploring the data is sometimes, I saw some data scientists completely miss this step because they just want to build a machine learning model. And for me, this is wrong, completely wrong, because when you analyze the data, when you explore the data, maybe you don't need a machine learning model. Maybe just by exploring the data, you will find some trend that is so obvious, so easy that no one look at it, and you will find some very good pattern. And exploring the data is also help you for the machine learning model, because you will probably see already some correlation. You'll probably see that maybe some features are not correlated, and maybe you need to do some other work on the feature, or maybe you need to add some more data already because there is no enough feature. So exploring the data is so crucial. We need to do that every time to start with. The first step after having the problem, exploring the data, is the feature engineering. So I'll try to explain the feature engineering a little bit. So feature engineering, and I will go through it myself because the next step is also don't need any more feature engineering. But anyway, feature engineering is something was very relevant when we are doing some machine learning, classical machine learning model. Feature engineering is the way to create new features and to understand the features, to create something that will help the machine to learn better. Like for instance, Andrew Fogg win the first competition in Kaggle. I don't know if everyone knows Kaggle. Kaggle is amazing website where you can compete with other data scientists to create the best predictive model. So Andrew Fogg won the first prize because he did a very nice feature engineering things. So basically, I will summarize that for this competition. It was to forecast the number of sales of the cars, and he found a way that the colors of the cars is not enough. So he built a feature engineering to regroup some colors that are more classical and more uncommon. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time, but in machine learning, if you don't have any lot of data in some feature, the model will never forecast that. So it did a very good understanding of feature engineering and trying to regroup some colors to make the machine understanding better the colors. So it's more like it's a part of the creativity part of the data scientist, and trying to play with the features and create more features and make the model and make the machine learn better the data. And sometimes it's needed, but now the new trend of machine learning is deep learning. And obviously in deep learning is the feature engineering didn't need too much, because if you got a lot of data, massive number of rows, a massive volume of data, like if you're crunching pictures or even voice, you need a deep learning model that works much better. And when you do a deep learning model, you need less creativity, but however, you need still to explore the data, you need still to clean the data a little bit, you need still to do some I mean, not calling it feature engineering, but understand the features to make this better. But the new trend in machine learning, if you traditional machine learning is XGBoost is a boosting model that works even much better than the random forest and neural network. But if you got more data, deep learning is working much better. So if you are more working on image, a CNN model works better. If you are working more on NLP side, RNN works also much better than machine learning. It depends also of the size of the of your data set. And after that, evaluating the model. And it's something sometimes I found the most annoying subject and the most embarrassing. So share my experience on that when I got some leader in data who try to push their value, the understanding of a model and try to predict that without any evaluation. So it happens when you think that you have the best model, but if you do like the cross validation, so this is a basic cross validation, you will find that the model is not that robust. It's just overfit or sometimes underfit. So the way to make sure, there is no way to make 100% sure the model will not overfit. There's nothing like that. However, there is some classical step. One of the things that we should do every time is just a basic cross validation. So cross validation is what you have the trained data. You split that in five, for instance, five folds, five groups, and you let one for the test. But you're not doing just once, you're doing that multiple times, and you change the group of the data. So to make sure that after all this testing and all this evaluation, you have a better idea of how you model, how accurate your model will be. So that's a way to make sure that your model is not overfitting and is how you have a good evaluation. And after that is something I would say most of the time completely missing. I think I see that working only in the best companies, tech companies in the world, but is something completely missing is when you build a model and when you have a model working with a good and you are very proud of your work, if you let that work like a classical dev guy, you build the things and after that it works, so you can jump on something else. In data is not the same. In data, the data will change. The data will completely to evaluate and it will go to trend of the business. So let's imagine you are doing something like prediction of the churn of your customers. The customer will change the behavior. The customer will do something else. The customer will probably change the behavior. So your model your first model you build will not be as accurate if you let it and don't evaluate it 6 months after. 6 months after, the model could completely go wrong. So this is the feedback loop. So you need to continue to evaluate. You need to continue to have an eye on it. When I said every time is a machine learning model is like a baby. When you get a baby, you don't let baby alone and you say, okay, I will see you in 18 years. No, you need to take care of your baby. You need to make it growing. You need to make sure that everything is going right. And this is the same. So it's not because you have a good model that it will continue to be a good model. You need to take care of it. And this is the feedback loop. So most of the time, what I saw in most of the companies is there is different reason why it didn't go to the last step, it didn't go to the production, and it never been delivered and never have this feedback loop, never challenge the model in the time, because most of the time is, first of all, do we have a clear questions, clear business problem in the first place? But the problem is more, sometimes is more like the data scientists want to do the best work they want. So they iterate. So they change the model, they change the tuning, they try to find another feature engineering, they try to find a new data set, exploring again, find things, because they want to do, they are mostly perfectionists and they want to do the best thing in the first place. But that doesn't work in the business because we can't wait 6 months or a year to have something in place. So data scientists will be proud when he get at the accuracy or the maximum he can get. However, maybe an accuracy of 85% of 87% is good enough to work with, is good enough for the business. Depends on the subject, obviously. But for data scientists, sometimes it's just like, no, I want to have the best accurate model in the first place. So there is no agility, and also one thing is very important is the code version control. That's something amazing when some people are working on machine learning, and because there is a lot of testing, a lot of change, and a lot of tuning. So if you don't have a code version control, you will lose the track. Oh, I got a better model. I think it was last week, but I can't remember what was the tuning I made. I can't remember. So if you don't have a version control, you don't know exactly which one was the best, and maybe your tests you're doing are not very good. So for me, the best way to have a better methodology on that is to be completely agile. So going fast in the steps. So you can do weekly or bi-weekly delivery. That's something completely achievable if you are good enough to build. So that means it's not like building things and putting in live something that is not accurate. It's not what I said. What I said is build something and build a complete pipeline, and after that try to challenge. Maybe the business will not be happy with the accuracy in the first place, but anyway, you build the pipeline, you have everything set up, so you can after that iterate and make the best things. At least you have something delivered. So I hope it was clear, that point. So I will probably jump on the next one. If not, there is a Q&A at the end, so please ask me questions. Don't hesitate. I'm happy to answer all the questions you need. So data science is nothing without a team, so the right team. So this is something also interesting. So I saw some of my colleagues, they try in different company hire the best data scientist guy in the world. We've done machine learning, deep learning, no Python, no what is an ETL process, no database things, no Hadoop, no SQL Server, no data visualizations, and also have a business acumen. That's something hard. Obviously, when you're doing some job searching, you try to find the best one. Obviously, you try to be wide and things, but that could be also a wrong mindset inside the company. Data scientist doesn't means he need to do everything. Doesn't mean he need to have 6 hats in his body. That's something just very difficult to achieve. So how to make that happen then? How to make sure that your team has the right balance? Is how we can split different skills and different responsibilities. So this is something that I used to break the tool of that. So there is a very nice tool in the website called dsradars.com. Is a first step, but inside the company you can customize that and do the same tool as they do. So is the way to understand the skills of your team. It's not achievable for someone to be good at everything. It can't be someone who is very good in communication, good in visualization, very good in modeling, in programming, in technology. So it's just impossible. We need to be conscious on that. So that means data science is nothing without a team. That means we need to find the right balance on that. So how to measure the skills of your team? If you have a wider team, like 20 people, make sure that we understand the strength, we understand the area where we should focus on eyes and how we can make this team growing. Do we have a problem in data wrangling? because there is not a lot of people in the team knows that how to do it. Do we have a problem in communication? Because we only have one strong person in communication, and the others are quite weak. All this kind of questioning is good to build, is good to understand, and is good to build on that. The thing also is what I do a lot of time in all my companies I work with is also find the best one, and make him a leader on this, and do knowledge share and do some training for the team. And that's so honestly, when you got some data scientists, is so they're so proud of it. They're so proud of the skills. So you will probably never seen someone who don't want to share. That's not something that I never seen that happen. People are like to share. People are like to communicate. People are like to explain how they do things. So it's also a good way to build in your team, to pick the strength of your team, and build on that if you see there is something you need to do to upskill your team. So I hope that was clear. So that's my first point, to make sure that data science is clear. So it was very large. So we talk about the right technology, and make sure that data scientists are doing what they want, and not what they are forced to. The right organization, the right methodology, the right mindset, the right team. I think I cover all the subjects. So the last line I want to cover is also something interesting in data science is AI, and is artificial intelligence and how it goes. So I don't know if you know that one of the father of the deep learning is Jan LeCun, is the VP researcher now in Facebook. He was the first in 1995 who did a LeNet deep learning model, and no one believed on it when he published his paper on that. There is a nice video in YouTube on what he's done in the past. He was very young, but now is deep learning is completely embedded in all the big tech companies. And if you remove deep learning, if you remove deep learning, Google will never work anymore. If you remove deep learning, Amazon will never work anymore. So it's so we went very far in this area where we should consider this technology that is so accessible now for the business, and we can do a lot of things with it. And this is his view of Jan LeCun on the future of the AI. So it is his view, which is quite interesting. So what he's working now on it is the real AI. So trying to understand how to make a machine understand the perception, understand how to have a reason and decision making. This is his field now. What he's working on it. I don't think we will achieve that in the next 5 or 10 years. But it's good to keep an eye on it. It's good to understand what is the trend in it. I think it's also our work as data leaders in all the companies to keep an eye and make sure that we understand what's going on, and after that probably use some techniques in a business to create even more values. And that was my last slide. So thank you very much. I'm someone who is looking a lot LinkedIn and Twitter. So if you want to keep in touch, please use that. I hope you enjoy it. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Abed. That was really good. So if anyone's got any questions, feel free to put it in the chat box now, then I'll pass them over to Abed. Still waiting on some questions if anyone has any. You've been told it was an excellent talk though.
Oh, thank you.
I can't, there's no name though, unfortunately.
I hope it was clear. So there is two kind of things when we finish a talk. Is if there is no question, that means or it was very clear or everyone slipped. So
you got a question now though. David
great.
Talbot, sorry. He asked if there's any recommendations on getting a team started and exploring data science.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I will come back on my slide on this. How to start on it, and this is a common question. Start, my techniques to understand what problem we should solve. So to go back on my slide and say, start with the problem, not with the data. If you have access to the CEO of your company or one C-level, CFO, or even CMO, asking the right question is, what didn't make you sleep? Just tell me what didn't make you sleep. So when you have access to the CEO, you ask this kind of question. It's so powerful because it gives you exactly where to focus your eye. And for me, that's the start. You as a data leader, you will be bombarded by tactical demand, by operational demand, and sometimes people need to do the job and people need to do things, but it's very low value. But when you have access to CEO and asking this kind of question, this person, he or she, will give you exactly where to focus your eye. And this is for me the best starting point, understanding where we should focus things. And after that, when you got this question, honestly, the CEO will never believe that you can help he or she on this. But if you give a solution or a starting of a solution by exploring the data, you will be one of the big hero in the business. Because I believe that data should be used like that. Data should be used at the most strategic level. And yeah, so my answer on this question is, if you're starting, start with a big question and try to explore the data. Maybe you will find nothing, maybe you think, but it's a good start. Or maybe you will find a part of the solution, which is already very good.
Thanks, Abed. Next question we have Paul Randalls. He asks, is there just a centralized data science team in your company, or can individual functions have their own data scientists?
Yeah, this is thank you for asking the question. Every time I work in some companies, I try to make that happen. So how to make the centralized data scientist. There is, I already talked with some of my peers on that, and what is the best organization things, because most of the business sometimes, like marketing or finance, they want also to have someone who doing this kind of analytics or even predictive analytics. But I would try encourage to have a central way to do things. So is the way to you to so I was has been confronted in some businesses where there were some data scientists in business, and I proved that doesn't work. Even if you engage better with this person, if you have one person working in marketing and doing that, they can do a lot of things. I don't think this person will be well challenged in the data work in marketing because they are not data expert. And after that, if this person leave, who will do the handover? And how we can make sure that everything is built, it will be maintained. All this kind of situation, all this problematic that will happen is it need to be discussed. So the best way to do is to have a centralized data scientist. However, make sure that these people is completely dedicated to the business. So that means they will work. So businesses wanted to have people to work on their subject, which is fine. So they can work on with them. However, it need to be embedded in the team because we need to share the same methodology. You need to make sure that we can cover the work for people who are going on holidays or whatever. And we need to also create this good team and sharing the right skills and grow this team. Someone is working in data, is more likely to want to do this career in data. So he want to grow in data, he want to be upskilled in data. If he's working in the marketing alone or in finance alone, that's another career. So that means he will probably grow in finance or in marketing, but probably not in data if he didn't have the right leader. So it's a very good question. It's we can see different organization, different way to organize, but for me, the most efficient thing is to have centralized data scientist team, however, dedicated people for the business. So business didn't lose the work efficiency for them. However, the work need to be shared, need to be embedded in one team. That's for me the best organization. Hope I answered the question.
Thanks, Abed. Yeah, that's good. Next question. I think it's a bit of a personal one from Mohammed Shehzad. He asks, what would you suggest for an ETL developer to get into the field of data science, and what do you suggest as a starting point? And I think you could probably, that question could probably be all encompassing for any BI developer or anyone who's looking to get into data science, maybe move away from BI into data science.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I have the same when you get this team of BI and data science in the same team. Obviously, there were some very questions like that, and say I want to grow in this field. I want to explore. I want to see if it fits for me. In my team, what I used to do is to do knowledge share and to do like internal training to give a flavor of people. So I pick people who are the best in their field and learn that. So externally, if I give you an advice on that, so if you want to explore more machine learning and deep learning side, I will encourage you to start. There is some very nice course in Coursera. I hope you know there's this website. There is a very nice course by Andrew Ng. Is doing that. Is a first classical machine learning. Is 4 weeks course, and it gives you the full understanding of what it is machine learning and how to do that. After that, there is other course in deep learning. There is other course in NLP also, if you want to go further. But for me, it's just for a BI developer, is quite a little bit different, because it's not about building a report that is 100% accurate and make sure that data is strong, and you make sure that your data model and your star schema is great, and your report is accurate. Is not the same subject. Is more going into the predictive analytics and try to create a model that you can predict things. Is a little bit different. Is still working with data, but is another mindset. So yeah, I would encourage to do a course like in Coursera by Andrew Ng, and do a 4 weeks. When I say 4 weeks, it's not full-time 4 weeks. Is a couple of hours every evening, and after that, in 4 weeks, you will understand from A to Z what is machine learning, and you can start with it. Hope I answered the question.
Thanks. I thought that definitely did. Yeah, I can probably just, from my standpoint, people looking to get into data science, there's a lot of courses online, and we partner with a lot of companies who look for people who maybe have a background in, grounded in data and maybe BI, but are looking to move into maybe a more junior data science role and learn from others. So, if that is a situation, feel free. And just one more question, I think, moving on. So,
Do you hear me? I think it's broken.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. I think you freeze. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sorry, you freeze. I didn't hear the question. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, sure. So, is it better a center? Oh, sorry, bear with me. So Luca Bella asks, is it better a center of excellence type of organization or better for each function? So it'd be price, marketing, product, to build their own team of data scientists. And what considerations do we need to take into account in deciding between these two operating models?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm the one who is very strict on that. You can build a data scientist in one field, like in pricing or in sales, or in one field in the business. You will get what you want, but do we get all the value of the data from the business? I'm not sure. That's why I every time not the one who is fan of having silos in the business. I always every time think about the data as very transverse things. You know, when you want to build understanding, having a better understanding of the customer, but understanding of how the company is operating. If you don't have the full transverse view of the data, from the acquisition, from the leads, from how we acquire the customer, and how and where the customer is serving and is living, you will never have the complete view of what's happened. So I understand sometimes a business wanted to have a view on this bit of work. That's fine. We can help them for that, but we should not lose the track of the full view of the data. And I can give you one example on that. So in France, for instance, there is this big retailer. The make is also in the UK. It's called Decathlon. You know, it's the first time when they are using big data. They analyze the online demand and the store demands. They never did that before. Why? Because data first was probably too big, but the first is they were built in silo. Online people, online where they have different KPIs and they have different target, and they acquire customers differently. They do Google AdWords, and it's completely different. In the store, they have different KPIs, things. So these two was completely separate, and they were in silo. But the magic coming from where they analyzed the two data sets, the online and the offline, and they found a very good correlation. People are looking on the website, they look at the product, and they're just looking at the product on Thursday and Wednesday, and they get on the shop in the weekend. So when they discovered that, they understand but what the product has been searched, in which area, and what is the next store next to this church. And after that, they put in the store the right product. They optimize the storage of the store, and they put also all the derivative products around of the items that are more likely to be sold, and then make 20% more increase of the revenue, because they analyze the full data set on the business. So yeah, most of the time, business coming with this kind of ID in the silo and say, I want to understand more about the pricing. I want to understand that. That's fine in this question, but building a complete team just doing that, I think we lost probably the full understanding of the data, and having a much wider understanding of the data and understanding of the company.
Thanks. I think that's it for questions. We've not had any more for a while. People always interrupt me as I say this, but is there anything else you want to just add at the end before we wrap up, Abed?
No, thank you very much. I think this is based on my experience. I hope that yeah, I share my expertise. on that. Yeah, I enjoy it. I think if we can talk next time probably of data value more deeper, but maybe in 2-3 months if you invite me again, if people wanted to. So yeah, thank you very much for that, Chris. Hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I found it really interesting. I hope everyone else did. Some good questions as well. If I can just get the next slide, Abed. So should have. Here we go. Yeah, everyone, thanks for joining today's session. It will be recorded. I'll post it on YouTube. It takes a few hours to upload, but it should be on by this afternoon, late this afternoon. But next Friday, we're joined by Sharon Matthew. He's founder of AI Tech North and also analytics and AI lead at IBM. He'll be delivering a talk regarding advanced analytics strategy for businesses. That'll be at 12:30 on Friday, so look out for that. And if you just have the next slides. So I'm currently in the process of arranging further webinar speakers as well. So if anyone out there is interested in potentially doing a talk at some point, feel free to get in touch. My details are on the screen now. As I mentioned before, obviously we are a recruitment business. So if you are looking for a role, or alternatively you're looking to expand your team or want to know a bit more about the market, feel free to give me a call, drop me an email, or LinkedIn, whatever's easiest. I'll be more than happy to help. Otherwise, that's it. So I hope everyone has a good day and a good week, and we'll see you on Friday next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.